Big time. So about now, you should be hearing about how I've been putting on the Unichip and been going through the step, the part one of that. I don't know. There's forces at work trying to keep me from getting this car out of there. So the Bassett wheels, all right. Well, there's the boxes here. We're sending them back. That's just one set. There's two. I'll tell you the whole story on that. So I got the first set, put them on. These wheels, Bassett's instructions on telling you how to install them, or balance them rather, is a little unique. See, these wheels, what they do to build these wheels, they take a plate that has these holes cut out on them. It's a flat plate, and they basically use a press, ka-chunk, to give it the bowl shape. And then they take it into this part here. If you look here, you can see there's a weld that goes all the way around. Okay, so either a human or a robot welds that. So yeah, I don't know if I've gotten a bad batch or if they ended up just having bad batches sent out, but I did a search on Google, talking about, like I just did a search of Bassett wheels are crap or junk or whatever, and I didn't find anything. There was a lot of questions about using them, especially in sport compact like Hondas, Civics, forums and all that, but there just wasn't anything with any kind of concrete details about whether they'd be a bad go or not. So the first thing that's bad is the way that they balance these things. They go off of a lug balancing, not a hub. Most times when you get your wheels balanced, they will use, let me turn this back on. They will use a centering cone right here on the shaft of the balancer, and then they'll spin this tightening part on there. They tighten it down. Then they balance it off of that. But Bassett says because the way these wheels are designed, you have to balance them off the lugs. And the lug, you have to have basically what's a lug balancing plate. And so what ends up happening is there's a plate that has these 4 fingers in it, and you slide it, you put this, you're supposed to not use a centering cone, okay? Now the shaft for the balancer is about 1.5 inches thick in diameter. So as you set this wheel up on here, there's nothing taking up. I mean, it'll sit there and whoop, 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 like that. The only thing holding it straight on the shaft is this plate that slides down and engages each of these lug holes. And then you use that tightening, I don't know, armature, I guess you call it. And you spin it. Now, here's the weird thing. On this wheel, you can balance it like that. You can put weights, and of course, I don't know if I still got the weights on here or not, if we took them off. Yeah, I took them off. But when you balance this thing, the machine itself will say that it's balanced, okay? But when you watch it spin on that shaft, there is no way in hell you're not going to feel that. And so we did it their way. And when I say their way, Bassett on their website has some instructions on not only how to balance them using the lug centric way, but what machine to use to balance them. And it's a Hunter GSP 9700. Just so happens that is the balancer I have at the shop. And so when I saw that, I'm thinking to myself, there's no way this thing can be balanced. Look how much it's wobbling. As you watch it spin, this thing was just going like that. I said, if I put that on my car, there's going to be an issue. So I ended up doing it the center cone way. And pretty much the same scenario. I used the centering cone plus the lug plate. Then I did it without the lug plate. Then I did it without the centering cone, just the lug plate again. But the interesting thing was when we did a what they call a road force test. Now the road force test, a wheel can balance. You can balance a wheel and tire assembly, but it would still vibrate. And the reason is because if that wheel's bent, or if there's an imperfection in the tire or whatnot, this thing called road force is going to find out. It's going to be able to identify which is the culprit, the tire or the wheel. And so what it does, it's a roller, and as this thing is rolling on with the tire, when it's rolling, there's another roller that comes and engages and presses down on the tire, and it simulates the tire being on the ground. And it gives you the amount of road force that it's out. The amount of road force that's acceptable is, there's a number. I don't know what is foot. I don't know what kind of what it's inches or pounds or whatever, but the number's 20 on the screen. This wheel and tire had 43. Okay, they all pretty much had that kind of road force. So that means that yes, although the machine balanced them, it's saying that you put these on this car and you're going to have a vibration problem. So I put it to the test. Sure as crap, it would jar my teeth out going 40 miles an hour. So we took them back, rebalanced them using just the lug plate, just like they say on the Bassett website to do. And they're very specific. They say if you can't find a shop that has this machine, find another one that does, you know. So they've had to have had a problem like this in the past that they've tried to address by stipulating that you use the type of machine they want you to use. But the cool thing about it is, after I was done doing that, it was identifying that the rim was the lion's share of the problems that with the balancing. So this was putting me in a real bad situation. I'm not sure on these wheels the reason. Maybe they don't balance out perfectly like you would expect a street wheel to do. These are, matter of fact, Bassett sells race only stuff, but they also sell DOT street legal, and these are the DOT street legal. They're the D-spoke. These are the legal ones. So these should ride smoothly. Well, I don't know if it's because they sell to a bunch of racers. Maybe my idea of smoothly isn't their idea, because think about it. If a circle track car, which is what a lot of these would go on, is using these wheels, would they even feel a balance issue that's not really aggressive because they're going the speeds they are in just a circle, like a left only the whole time? The motor mounts are probably solid motor mounts. The noise, the engine vibration, they wouldn't be able to tell what's a vibration or not. If it's coming from the engine or wheels or tires, they don't care. So I'm not sure if that's the case or not. Because I had ordered these wheels. I say wheels. I ordered one. I don't know if you remember back, or if y'all hang around when I'm explaining or not, but the wheel I needed to put on there first to even find out if it would fit. 3-inch backspace. I mean, I don't know. I was putting this wide body deal on the car, and I wanted to make sure that I had fitment. I didn't want to buy 4 wheels and then have to return 4 wheels. So I bought 1 wheel off of eBay. It was, though, I found out later, and I didn't realize this at the time, because Bassett themselves don't sell their own tires. Or wheels, rather. They don't sell their own wheels. They have vendors, like a lot of places do, that sell performance parts. So I didn't have time to call anybody there. They don't have any email for questions and stuff like that. I was able to finally talk to somebody and tell them what I had, and they stipulated that, said, yes, you can order a wheel, but in order to return it, it cannot have been like a tire mounted on it, and it can't have any kind of like lug nut rash or hub rash where it scrapes on the hub as you bolt it up. And I knew I could get around that. I could just put some foam or something in between the wheel and the hub, and some foam in between the lug nut and the wheel itself as I mounted it up. And I had this real thin material that I did that with. Worked out perfect, because he said you can't return it if you do mount it up like that. And so that's what I did. I ordered the wheel. It fit. It was good to go. And I went back to eBay to order the other 3, but the seller that I had ordered it from didn't have any more. Well, I happened to notice the eBay store on there. It wasn't like Jimmy Chan or anything like that. It was actually Speedway Motors. That's their online eBay store on eBay. So I contacted Speedway. They actually had some, so I ordered 3 more from them. So I ordered the tires too about that same time. I think I showed you guys what kind of tires. And these are good quality tires. Like I said, the road force identified the wheels being the problem, not the tire. And there's an interesting thing on this balancing machine that, let's say you got 4 wheels and 4 tires, you put them on, you balance them, and they're all jacked up. Well, they have this thing called Matchmaker on there, where it'll have you number the tires and wheels. Like say on this tire here, I'd put a number 1 on the tire and a number 1 on the rim with like a grease pen or something. And you do that for each tire. And it'll say, okay, based on what we're seeing here, take tire number 1, match it with rim number 3, take tire number 3, match it with rim number 4, and it will match make to the point where it gets that number closer to 20, that road force number. But at that point, based on what I was seeing, how this thing was driving, I wasn't interested in even trying that. So I ended up contacting them. Now this was in, I think, April that I bought these wheels. And it's a project, you know, and I just got hired back on July 5th, so I had to concentrate on that. I work Monday through Friday now, so I don't have a day off during the week to call folks and deal with stuff. It's got to be done on a Saturday or Sunday, which is kind of limiting because sometimes they don't on Saturday and so on and so forth. Anyway, so time passed, and so I chose email, that same email that I was corresponding with to get back and forth with that guy talking about the return policy. And oh, we're so sad to hear you having a problem with the wheels. I'm going to forward this on to my customer so he could have response in 2-3 days. Long story short on all that, I got multiple email replies with no replies. It would just be a blank reply with the words, reply to this email above this line. And I would write back, say, do you know that you're sending me replies with no replies, and it's just telling me reply above this line? And they'd send me a reply above this line. So something was going on. So one day at work during the week, because customer service is only open Monday through Friday, I guess nobody has problems on Saturdays. But so I contacted them, got a hold of somebody. They were great, actually. I was expecting a fight because it had been so long, and I had mounted them and balanced them, and now they certainly do have lug nut scoring and stuff like that on them. And they said, well, look, we'll send you out 4 new wheels, because I was still wanting to use these things. And they did. And these tires on here, although they're not super low profile, even though we have the best machine available right now, they're not that fun to take off. And so I was going to pay a buddy at work. He ended up staying late one night just helping me out. But we swapped them over, and I was excited, man. Get me some new wheels on here. This thing's going to ride great. Then I can move on to the Unichip install, which is what this video should have been. This should have been part 1. So, nope, same dang thing. Matter of fact, they came 2 to a box, okay? And one of these, I don't think I can find it. It may not be here, but you know, so these boxes here on the outside, there was no physical damage. This box here, the individual one of them had like a pretty good, like it was like a dog had taken a bite out of it, and through that hole you could see the rim lip had been divoted. So that means that didn't happen during shipping, because if that was the case, you would have seen a Siamese damage on the box to that, and there wasn't. So that means it happened at Speedway. Somebody dropped it and said, to hell with it, I'm just going to send it anyway. So we've dealt with dents and steel wheels at work before, and we just pounded it out. It wasn't going to affect anything. It was still going to seal on the tire bead and all that. But unfortunately, it was the same scenario. Every one of them was jacked. But I told the guy, I said, look, let's just follow their deal word for word so that I can call them and say, you know, hey, we did it exactly the way you wanted it with exactly the kind of machine, and here's what I'm experiencing. This time, it wasn't as bad. But when I say it wasn't as bad, I mean the first time, it was horrific. It's not livable, is the short on it. You cannot drive that daily. Plus your wheel bearings and everything else. I mean, it's not going to work. So I've got the wheel over there on the table, plus the other 3 in this box. They're going back. These 4, once I get them off the wheels, off the tires rather, they're going back. And the same scenario happened where I was trying to get a hold of customer service, and same exact thing. So like A couple weeks later, I'm finally able to get a hold of somebody again. This time I'm thinking, okay, they let me have a replacement set, but they probably never intended to let me just send them back and get my money back. So I was prepared for a fight. Once again, I was wrong. They just said, okay, no worries. We'll send you the UPS labels and box them up and ship them back. All right. So that leaves me with, what do I do with wheels? Well, the whole reason I went with these wheels, and I don't know, I think it comes down to search engines. I use DuckDuckGo because they have a little bit better privacy than Google. And I don't know if it's because of that, because at work they don't. They use Google. And I searched before for 15 by 8 wheels with a 3-inch backspace or like a negative offset. I needed it like negative 38 to work with what I was wanting to do. And that's what these wheels ended up being. These wheels end up being 4 by 100, but with a 3-inch backspace, but the offset is 38 millimeters. Okay, so I measured that and found that out, because Bassett don't tell you that. They just tell you the backspacing. Apparently, and I've figured this out, on an 8-inch wide wheel, the backspacing is 4.5 inches. Okay, on a 0 offset wheel. Okay, so 4.5 inch backspace on a 0 offset wheel. And a 0 offset just means that you're pretty much going to be, this flange right here is going to be about in the middle of the wheel, thereabouts. So I thought, okay, so I need a aluminum wheel with a 38 millimeter, negative 38 millimeter back or offset, and I guess it would put me at about a 3-inch backspace. So I found, like I said, searching with a different search engine. I mean, immediately I looked for 15 by 8 wheels, and apparently Time Attack. I should have probably used that in my search. Tons of wheels came up, Time Attack. And most of those, though, they don't have negative 38 millimeter offset. So what I was going with was, okay, on the wheels I was fine, and they were 15 by 8, which is what I want and need, and with a 0 millimeter offset. So I contacted the company just to make sure, and they said that wheel would be a 4.5 inch backspace. So if this is the hub and this is the wheel, okay, it's here, and right now it fits perfect, and I take that wheel off, if I were to put a 4.5 inch backspace wheel on in place of a 3-inch backspace, that means the wheel will set in deeper into the well than what it is here. And so it would actually go in, what, 1.5 inches in, so it might be sticking out maybe a 1/4 inch or something like that. So I need some way to offset that. I need to then move it back out. Well, here's our friends. Here's what I think will work for me. I think when I last checked, and I'll find out here, no better time than the present to find this out, but I think this is, what, 1.5 inches maybe? Let's see here. 1.75 inches. So this will, wait, am I reading it right? No, it's 1.5 inches. What am I doing? Yeah, so this is perfect. So these wheel spacers were on there from the beginning when I had the 17 by 7 wheels on there. And so now with the 4.5 inch backspace, that adds 1.5 inches into the center line of the car. Whereas with these bolted on, these will now push it 1.5 inches back out. So I should get this same width again, but with these tuner type wheels. And I'm going to show you a picture right here of what they look like. I'd originally, and that was a nightmare in of itself. These things sometimes, I mean, even then, and I was, sometimes you'd be looking for these wheels on there. You'd go in, you'd find the ones you like, you would put them in your cart. They said they had them, place order, you'd get an email the next day, sorry, the quantity you want's not in, and so forth. And then I'm real leery about ordering stuff from companies like this, so I'd get on there and, if it was something like wheelsdepot.com, I'd get on there and search wheelsdepot.com complaints. Yeah, I ordered my wheels months ago. I haven't seen them. I can't get a hold of nobody to get my money back. And it was just one after another on some of these sites. And so I found one site that had good feedback, didn't see any problems, said they had these wheels in stock, ordered them. And I'm not being picky about wheels. I don't get hung up on the kind of wheels they are for street cred or whatever you want to call it, to where I can brag about the kind of wheels. I just want an 8.5 inch or 15 by 8 wheel with the kind of setting I have to make my project work. I don't care, as long as they look like they're supposed to look, the way I want them to look. The ones I'm getting have a machined lip with a charcoal or a gunmetal gray like a spoke set up on it, 4x100 or 4x114. It's got the multiple holes in it. They look just like the tuner wheels I would have got to begin with if I could have, or I thought they were available for my project. But anyway, so I put 4 of them in my cart, put the order in. I'm so sorry, we don't have these in stock. Would you like TR7s instead? And I said, well, as long as they look, pretty much the same as the machined lip with the, the gunmetal. And he would reply with, I can send a set of those out today. And I'd reply back, do they look the same, or a 15 by 8? Because you gotta, because sure enough, because a lot of the other complaints I saw in the other stores was, I asked for 15 by 8, 4x100, 4x100. They sent me 5x1, whatever. It was 15 by 8, but it was 5 by whatever. And it was just, I wanted to make sure every email I had to these people reiterated exactly what I needed. And long story short on this, yes, the TR7s. And I found a picture, sent him the picture even. I said, are these them? He said, yes. So they're on their way to me now, supposedly. So with companies like this, I'm not going to count my chickens till they hatch, they say. So I'm waiting for them to come. So the game plan today is to box up the 4 I have, put the return labels and stuff on them, and I'm going to go ahead and take these wheels and tires off and get them ready to be broke down and mounted so I can return these once they're off. Because, I want to get them back as soon as possible so they can't say there was a window where I could have returned them but I didn't, and whatever. So but anyway, that's the holdup. That's the small update I have. Like I said, this update here, I'm working with a place in England right now, a tuner shop in England, to answer a couple questions I have about this thing, the Unichip. I think it's going to be just like what it was with the electromotive setup. You basically find out what pin the electromotive's computer handles the signal for the map sensor, the ground, all this stuff, and you just use your service manuals or whatever you have to match them up. That was it. And that, of course, I put that system on my car. It was a full standalone, so it's not, that's more complicated to do than this one, because this is a piggyback. I don't need to intercept every signal to augment. I don't have to change it either if I don't want to. So just what I need changed will be changed. Fuel and timing, basically. I'm trying to see, the one question I had for the guy, if this system has boost by gear. Because if it does, I'd like to try to incorporate that. So again, guys, the problem with driving this car right now was getting the wheels and tires on it. Take it out, I couldn't even really 40, 50 miles an hour. I have yet to lay into this thing for any amount of time to figure out, to answer some of the baseline things that I need to know before I get in there and start changing stuff. So the wheels are hold up. After that, once the wheels are straight, we'll get those on, go get my baselines, and I'll be able to start installing this dang thing. I'm excited about doing it. I'm excited about answers, but I think it's just like that Electromotive Tech 2, where you go in, you find out what the Unichips ports are for what they do, and you just splice it in. The only reason I have a question is that because during the initial installation of the software and you go through the program, it talks about load. They want you to load a map, load like a wiring schematic in from their system. Well, there's not one in there for Saturn. So question being, do I got to go in and create one? Is there one in there that's for universal that doesn't need that? And it'll skip that more or less and just let me start tuning on this thing when I get it wired in? I don't know. So I've got some questions into these guys over there, but once that's figured out, everything else is gravy, and I'll be able to get going on it. All right. Thanks for being patient. Talk to you later.